lot of people are wondering what is going to replace Twitter if it continues to go on the path that it's currently on. Well, does anything actually need to replace Twitter? I read a fascinating write-up pondering this exact question. It's titled, "Let Twitter Die. Twitter is Dead. Long Live Twitter," by one Francesca Fiorentini on the American Prospect. And I'm gonna do something that I don't think I've ever done. I'm gonna read quotes from my co-host because I thought they were good. So the author makes a very good case and says, in some ways, it's fitting that Musk paid far too much to own the saddest social media platform. Twitter is, after all, what traumatized nobodies who refuse to go to therapy treat as both their best friend that can't keep a secret and the kind of running conversation you would find on a bathroom stall door. But this isn't a rant about Elon, it's about us. What's to become of us Twitter users? Us traumatized nobodies with our thirsty unanswered DMs. Many users are still in the second stage of grief, anger, and memes. But we've got to move to acceptance.
I used traumatized nobodies twice, and I'm sad that the editor wasn't like, don't use that twice.
It becomes a running theme.
Right.
But the point that you're making there is that perhaps we shouldn't be hoping that Mastodon will become easier to use or Post will be less weird in ways I'm gonna get into in a minute, but that maybe we just shouldn't have a replacement for it. What do you like? Tell me a little bit about that, because obviously there's a lot of bad sides to Twitter, but there is some good sides. The quick distribution of political news, the ability for organizers and candidates without a lot of money to reach a broader audience than they otherwise would. Yes. What about the pros and cons of Twitter dying?
I mean, I think that, look, first of all, I've been writing the back page of the American Prospect for a while. This is supposed to be a satirical argument, a satirical piece. I always write sort of like little silly pieces for the Prospect. But this is a bit more real. Just don't take it too seriously. I'm just the person who's like, hey, what if we put our phones down and spent time with our families, or went outside or went on a walk, or like lived in the present moment, and like everything that takes us away from that maybe is a little problematic. Now, I love a good Twitter rabbit hole as much as the next person. I thought Bean Dad was hilarious. John, you and I talked about it here on the show, and people were like, why are you talking about it? And we were like, because it's funny. But I do think that for as good as it has been, it's not going to be good anymore. It's not a good place anymore. And I will say that my argument in this piece is we should probably not just fill our times, as Bo Burnham recently said in a beautiful rant where he was like, advertisers are just buying space in our minds. It's just constant simulation, constant attention seeking and grabbing. And our thoughts and our time are no longer our own. And I think that when we have failed to carve out time for our own thoughts, our own quiet, our own solitude, that can be really problematic and dangerous, right? Not just time for our family, but time for ourselves and our that little silence right there. That being said, I don't know, John, I do think that in today's day and age, it is nice to stay connected to people. It is nice to have somewhat of parasocial relationships. They don't all have to be bad. And it is a tool of organizing. So for activists, for union organizers, whomever.
Yeah.
Chitty's in the background. There she is.
I see Chitty, yeah. Chitty. Look, there's definitely for a lot of communities, it's a very important tool. And those are the communities that are gonna be most hurt by the direction that Twitter has taken. Like, I know it when we've talked about our fears about what Elon Musk will do in charge of Twitter and what it will mean for Twitter to die, it doesn't mean that some people won't have experiences that are similar to what they had before. Like, I might be able to have a similar sort of experience. That doesn't mean that it's good. That doesn't mean that something terrible hasn't been done, that something hasn't been lost. As of right now, it is hard to imagine what the replacement actually would be. As you said, like Mastodon is very complicated, and I know a lot of people have like thoughts about Post, but more and more is coming out about the leadership of Post, more weird stuff. I saw it going around. They had like a little like blog post or something about the need for civility and open conversation, and they had like a list of all the things that we shouldn't discriminate against other people based on. And in the middle of the list, they snuck net worth. What? Ew. There is not nearly enough cyberbullying of the rich going on. Can I just say that we need less cyberbullying of every sort except of the rich. We need way, way, way more of it. Just start bullying them more. I'll let you know when it's enough. And so for the leadership to be like, not being mean to billionaires is the same as stopping racism, well, then I have a problem with that.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.